Okay, so we are now recording and welcome everybody to our intro seminar and advanced seminar. We are having some guests today. Let me just start sharing my screen. Oops, sorry with the N. So welcome everyone. I wish I remember what week of class is this week, but I really don't. I just remember that we have, let me check this quickly. Not counting this week, 2 more weeks. Woohoo! If we count this week, we have 3 weeks. So let's not do that. So today we have a very special group of panelists who are going to be talking about pursuing a doctoral degree. And I'm going to first introduce them and then introduce the panel. So we have Pauline Salim Muljana. I've never pronounced your last name, Pauline.
Muliana.
Muliana. That's better. From Old Dominion University, we have Lauren Batji. I'm not doing very well with names today.
Close, Bagdi, very close.
Who is from Florida State University. Xixing Mao from Fordham University. I'm like doing this from my head.
Fordham University. I go by Mao.
Okay. Well, he knows. Yeah, I know that, but thank you, Mao. Oops, sorry. Sonia Tiwari from Penn State University. So thank you all for being here today. I really appreciate it. The reason we're having this panel is because, as you know, I teach in a program that is primarily focused or entirely focused on master level students. And sometimes when you are at the master level, you are thinking about transitioning into going into the workplace, but you also have that opportunity to continue furthering your education. And you may not want to do it immediately after your master's degree, but you may want to do it a few years after. And okay, sorry, that was my dad. So you may want to do it after a few years after you graduate, or you may want to do it immediately after you graduate. So I just wanted to have this conversation to guide the students into something that they may just think about it for the future. I know that I have several senior students that are graduating at the very end of the semester, and they may not be thinking about this right now, but they might think about it in the future. So with that, I have several questions that I've written, but I also want the students to have an opportunity to ask questions. So I would just say, if you have questions, please feel free to type it in the chat. And I'm also going to stop in between slides to give an opportunity to ask questions. So with that, I want you to introduce yourself a bit. What university do you attend? What is the name of your program? Is your program online or in person, or are you self-funded or graduate assistant? And actually, if you can hold that, my dad never really calls me at this time, so I kind of want to answer this, but if you can just look at this slide and just give me 1 minute to talk to him. So let me mute myself.
Yeah, we can introduce ourselves. You just take your time. That's a good time to just introduce ourselves. Yes.
Sounds good. If you want to do that, that'll be great.
Cool. I can start. I attend Penn State's Learning Design and Technology program in person. I mean, currently online. And I had a graduate assistantship until last semester. Now I work part-time in another department. And from next semester, I do not have funding. So like the last question was a personal attack. So thank you.
All right, I can go next. I actually attended Penn State University for my undergrad. I studied computer science there. And then, like many people, I had a lot of student loan debt. So after that, I decided, you know what, this is not worth it. Let me just work for university so they can pay for my tuition. So I started working at Fordham University after a couple of other careers. Then finished my master's in business analytics. And then by that time, I decided higher ed is the area where I want to devote my energy. So I enrolled in the EDD program. It's educational leadership, administration, and policy. So my dissertation research topics around organizational learning. I guess I answer all these questions. It's in person. I finished my classes almost 2 years ago. I'm still working on my dissertation, so I'm a little behind.
Hi, everyone. Have you all introduced yourself?
And just me and Mao so far.
Oh, okay. Go ahead. Pauline, do you want to go next?
Yeah, I can go next.
Okay.
So I attend Old Dominion University, and the name of our program is Instructional Design and Technology, and it is online and also in-person program. So they do have on-campus students, but they also do have like online students like me who live in California, and then I know that we have some other classmates or peers who come from all over the country, like North Carolina, Idaho, basically from all different states. But there's also on-campus students who live in Norfolk, Virginia. And I am self-funded, so Old Dominion doesn't have graduate assistantship unless they have like an opening to help a professor with their research. But right now, I don't see that opportunity, so I am self-funded, and that's one of the reasons that I came to the ODU, or one of the reasons why I selected ODU. ODU is a state-supported university, so I thought their tuition is somewhat reasonable. And especially if I am self-funded, I better find something that is reasonable.
And just a little plug here. I graduated from Old Dominion University, so it's a pretty good program. Shameless plug.
So I am at Florida State University. I am in the Instructional Systems and Learning Technologies program. So the PhD program is fully residential, even though there are some online classes. And we are online right now because of COVID, but we do have a fully online EDD program. So it really depends on if you want to take the more research focused route or the more practical focused route. And I am actually fully funded. I've been fully funded since I started. I teach undergraduate courses in our department, and then I've also gotten some research funding as well.
Okay, thank you, everyone. One item that I wanted to stress with students is that for most, I want to say like in-person program, they tend to have some sort of opportunity for graduate assistantships. Sometimes I don't know. I don't want to say like everybody all the time, but there tends to be opportunity for graduate assistantships. And normally it could entail either taking a teaching assistantship role, so teaching some classes, and then also it could entail more of an administrative graduate graduate assistantship. So you're kind of working in a center for teaching and learning as their graduate assistant. And then there's also the research graduate assistant, which is working with a faculty member, more or less what, oh my God, I'm just like terrible with names today. Lauren mentioned about working with faculty and working with doing research, right? So you may have that option if you're relocating to a university and are looking for a graduate research assistantship. But there are also other opportunities for doing your PhD online, as Pauline is doing, and then having like a good rate, I guess you can say, tuition rate. I know that Old Dominion is really good about that, and you have to kind of do your research and look at what other universities are, what their tuition rate is. So, okay, so I want to move on to the next question. I think a major task of like starting a doctoral program is doing the search, like there are so many doctoral programs, so many options. So I want to know what your process was like. How did you even start with that? What decisions you made and how you actually ended up at the program that you're in right now. So if you want to reflect on that, maybe I can go in the order that I see you on my screen. So I would start with Mao.
Great. I was going to say first anyways. For me, I may not be the best example because for me, I have already worked at my university at that time for a number of years. I knew that, in order to further my career, I wanted to get a degree in a doctoral degree in EDD. I mean, we have a PhD option, but being a Jesuit university, to get a PhD degree, we're required to take 4 additional kind of religious courses. And then the dissertation has to be kind of themed in religious study, right? So I didn't want to, really, that part doesn't really interest me. So I thought EDD would, be just as good. But then looking back, I mean, if I was to select knowing what I know now, if I have to select my next PhD program, I would start with really asking myself some really deep questions on, like, do I want to become a researcher or do I want to become like a practitioner, right? And then based on that, I decide, what my research topic may be. What are some of the questions, particularly if I'm a practitioner, where do I see myself in my my next, I don't know, like 5-10 years, right? So what's the job, the ideal job that I want, and what are some of the questions that may be answered by people who are in this position, and then are there things I can research on? It's gonna just make it like more useful, like later on when you go into a career, your actual job. But if you're thinking about doing a research track at academia, I'm not sure, like, I can't really speak to that, but I would think that maybe matter a little less. I don't know, but other panelists may be able to comment on that. So for me, cost was definitely a big concern, big factor to consider. Working at Fordham, I get tuition remission. Actually, any university, as long you get tuition remission, particularly if if your field of study is relevant, benefits your job, then it's also tax-free, right? So I kind of took advantage of that. And some of my people who I know, like in my school, they also go to UPenn for their, I believe, EDD program. But from what I hear, we have a better program. So that really made my decision much easier. And I think that's our program being entirely in person is actually designed for practitioners. So all of us in my cohort, we have about like 16 or so people, 12 people. And then we all have our full-time jobs. We have a principal, but most of ours, we actually from higher ed, except for I think just 2 people who work in K through 12. But going forward, they change the program a little bit so that it becomes online, and they have a K through 12 focus going forward. So this program has changed quite a bit. My program, the coursework is 2.5 years. And after the first year, you have a qualifying exam. I mean, like with the new program, there may be like differences, right? I'm just speaking about like my old program. First year qualifying exam, which is similar to a dissertation proposal. You get pass or fail. If you fail, you do it again, and they give you, there's a high pass, and fail. So you get passed, that's you're good. You get a fail, you get another try. And then we don't have any really, what do you call that? Sonia, what was that thing that you passed today or yesterday?
Comprehensive exams.
Comprehensive, right. So we don't have that. We're practice is designed for practitioners. So after first 2.5 years, you have another 5.5 years to complete your dissertation, right? That sounds like a long time. Trust me, it's not. Been there, done that. So that's pretty much it. I mean, our program is pretty short. Actually, you complete, we take how many courses? Like 4 courses a semester, 3-4 courses a semester, and we run a trimester program. So you finish like 12, 13 courses a year. In 2.5 years, you're done with the courses. Then the rest is just your time, right? You still have dissertation seminar, which you pay, $4,000 whatever dollars, like per semester. Right, that's you get access to your advisor, all the university's resources and so on. I think I answered all the questions, right?
Yeah,
All right.
yeah, that was pretty good. So 2.5 years and then 5 years of dissertation time.
Right.
And actually that's that experience like resonates with quite a some students that are in our program, because we also at University of Tampa, they also have a staff reimbursement program. So several of the students that are in the masters in instructional design and technology actually work here, not here at home, but at the University of Tampa. So they're familiar with that situation. So thank you, Mao. So the next person that I see on my screen is Lauren. Do you want to talk about your search for a doctoral program, Lauren?
Sure, yeah. So I got my master's at GW in their educational technology leadership program. And it was great, a lot of practitioner focused type of work, but I got really into instructional design there, but I realized I wanted to do a little bit more research. And so, I started talking to the faculty about my interests and where, they think I might be interested in going. And then also I kind of started looking in the literature, like who did I enjoy reading? Like who are the people who I George Washington University. It's in Washington, DC. Sorry about that. So I started reading and I kind of realized I was following some different researchers, one of them being Vanessa Denon at Florida State. And there was a couple others. And so I applied to their schools and said, hey, do you have spaces available for graduate students to come work under you? Vanessa did. And so I got accepted to the program. One thing that really drew me to Florida State was it's a very community-oriented program. We do a lot of events together. It's kind of like a big family. We do a lot of collaborative research projects together, which I really like. So that's really kind of what led me to Florida State. I also have a husband who works remotely. So we had a lot of flexibility in terms of being able to move from Washington, DC to Florida. And my program is 3 years of coursework. So you kind of follow the qualifying exam, then the comprehensive exam. Once you pass your comps, then that's when you go into candidacy and you start your dissertation. And you have, I can't remember, it's 5 to 7 years to complete it by the time you pass your comps. But if you're interested in more of the EDD route, our EDD program is 2 years of coursework and then 1 year of dissertation. And you work in kind of like a little cohort group.
Thank you, Lauren. And I think that we've actually had conversations with Florida State University about potential, like some students are thinking about, we're thinking about going there. I'm not sure if they made their way there or not, but I know that it's been a program that it's been on our radar for students from our program going there, especially with the new EDD program. I saw the presentation by the cohort about their social media group. They are like, oh my God, so professional. I like that.
They're great. I actually I TA'd a course that they all took together as a cohort, and you could tell that they were so close and they had all these back channels. So it was a little intimidating, but they're an awesome group of people.
Awesome. Okay, so how about Pauline?
Yeah, sure. So back then when I was thinking about doing the PhD, I did my master quite a while ago. So I did a master's in educational multimedia. So back then, I don't think I was ready to go into PhD journey. Like I was thinking about it, but I did not have any clear goal why I would pursue. So I kind of like put it in the back of my mind. Oh, I'll do the PhD later on. So and then I went into full time employment. I used to work as an instructional designer at Cal Poly Pomona for like about 12 years. So my title in the earlier years, not really instructional designer, but and then I had some instructional design responsibilities. So but and then I did that like for 12 years. And then like during those 12 years, like after experiencing like 12 years, like there's something, like kind of itching in my mind or like some kind of urge. So like I got interested into teaching and I would like to tap into teaching, like university teaching. And I was able to interact with faculty, and then like their work kind of attracts me. And I wanted to do some research, and I wanted to know more about honing my research skills. So that was like my goal, like to be into to acquire a faculty, like tenure track faculty position. So I was thinking actually between PhD or EDD, and then at the time I also learned that EDD might help me more going into the practice. So I chose PhD, and then when I was searching for school, when I was like shopping around for school, I looked at the faculty, I looked at their research activities, and also their activities in the professional organization. And then I found, well, before I found ODU, actually, I asked people on Facebook group, anybody knows this school about ODU. I kind of like read about it, but I want to know if anybody has gone over there. And then actually I met Dr. Romero-Hall through a Facebook group, and then I asked her about ODU. And then I also found out that Dr. Gary Morrison was one of their faculty over there. Now he's retired, and he's a big, like he has a big name, right? Because he's one of the key players who developed like one of an ID model. So that was a big thing to me. And then I found about Dr. Jill Stefaniak at that time. He was also with Old Dominion University, so that kind of attract me. And then other faculty like Dr. Bucky at that time, and also Dr. Tian Luo, who is my current advisor. They always like do something at AACT, whether they do presentation with their students. So like for me, that's important because I do need some guidance from faculty who can help me, doing writing some conference proposals and things like that. And then ODU itself, we're like, I think 3-year coursework program. And then after 3 years, after you're done with all coursework, you have to take the comms exam, the comprehensive exam, and it has the written component and then oral. So you have to do the written first. That has like 1, 2, 3 components, because it has like 3 types of question that you can do in 1 month. uh, and then after that 1 month, the faculty will review your written exam. And then 2 weeks after, you are scheduled to do the oral defense, which is the oral exam. And I just like did it like 1 week before AACT started. And I'm glad that I passed. So now I'm a PhD candidate. So after you pass the comms exam, you will become a PhD candidate. And after that, you will start working with your dissertation proposal. And that's what I'm going to start soon in spring semester. So I think that's how long. So I think the whole thing, it might about 5 years, but I've heard you can do it in 4 years and a half if you just keep doing everything and if you know what you want to do next.
Thank you, Pauline, and congrats to both you and Sonia on passing your comms. It's a pretty big deal. Um, I don't know what the process was like for Sonia, but I know at ODU that 1 month, like 1 month of writing is like, wow, it's intense. I had to do that too, and that was like, by the end, you're just like so done. So that's a pretty big deal. Congrats. So speaking of Sonia, we're gonna move on to Sonia. How do you do your doctoral program, George?
Okay, so my story is a little bit similar to Pauline. I did my master's in animation and my undergrad was in film. So like a super creative person, like in our field, we kind of hated the academics, you know, so my friends from animation school still kind of like laugh about that. What, are you not creative anymore? But my thing was that I was working in the gaming industry in San Francisco Bay Area, and I moved from entertainment games to educational games. And then I noticed that we were kind of doing research in a reverse engineered way. So for example, you know, people would design an educational game, you know, vaguely, like inductively, that, oh, this feels educational, let's do it. And then to kind of prove it or sell it to the customers, they would hire researchers to write blogs on Medium and like tag their products and promote it and say that, oh, you know, parents love our products and teachers recommend it, and like quotations from a few teachers to kind of sell it. And I was like, no, 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 that's like, you're being sellouts. Like, that's not how it's supposed to be. So I got into this thing that, you know, you should start with research, find the problem, address it in greater detail and more deeply, and then design a product that serves the purpose of a solution. And that wasn't happening in the gaming industry because we were more driven by the subscriptions and, you know, just surviving as a business. So then I got interested in academia, and my whole thing coming in was to, you know, everyone, it's a cliche, bridging the gap between industry and academia. But I genuinely wanted to do that I have industry background. And if I understand research more deeply, then maybe I can be that connection between the two worlds. And one alumni from Penn State gave me a very good advice that in order to decide which program that you want and which advisor you want, imagine like a three-legged race, and like one leg is yours, like your individual interests, and the other leg is for the department, the advisor, and then like you have something in common. I could have said like a less creepy version of a Venn diagram, but I went with the three-legged race anyway. So I went in with that kind of mentality. I looked up research from people who were doing something related to educational games, children's media, like all the keywords that I was interested in. And I narrowed it down to like 5 or 6 different places. And I also applied outside the US. And as an international student, it also comes down to like where the immigration is easier or where it worked out, and where I was able to get funding, where I was able to get the advisor of my choice. And regarding funding too, I would mention that there are equity issues. For example, like different in the US, like different countries have different wait periods for their student visa applications or processing of their OPT, and even restrictions on the funding. Like some grants require people to be working more hours, and international students can only work like 20 hours a week. So those are some, I mean, I don't know, Anila, if you have international students in this group, but those are some considerations that you might have, and also have a backup for funding, which I didn't think of. Like in my decision making, I wanted to go to a program where funding was guaranteed for at least the first 3 years. And I did get that, but then my visa was delayed and I missed like the first 6 months. And then the person providing the grant took an early retirement. So I was kind of left in the dark for the last one part, and I had to, at the last moment, look for other sources of funding. So just to be, I think like it's good, especially for international students, to be prepared, have some backups, be willing to reroute, reconsider some things. And so I selected the specific program mostly because of my advisor. Again, like the Venn diagram, three-legged race, I really think that she was a good match for the kind of research that I wanted to do. And I'll be honest, there were other programs that I liked better, but I didn't make it there. So I was like, okay, whatever, you know, at this point I wanted to move forward instead of like waiting another year, hoping that, oh, I'll get to like this name brand school and like have that stamp on my head that I went to this big Ivy school. But I was like, you know, as long as the professors are nice and the resources are there, it's okay. And my program is typically 5 years, similar structure to what Lauren was describing. There's a qualifying exam in the second year, a comprehensive exam in the third year, and then you dissertate. Most people take roughly 2 years, so it makes a 5-year program.
Thank you, Sonia. And we actually do have quite a few international students. We have, well, Monique, who's in the Cayman Islands, Anu, who's from Nigeria, Indy, who's not an international student, but she's from Venezuela, and Scarlett, who is from Venezuela. Anders is from Norway, and Sarah is from Iran. So we in the program, we have about 50-50 residential students, I guess you can call them like that way. And then also 50% international students, all from all over the place, which I love about the program. So your comments regarding what international students need to consider are extremely relevant. And I just want to also say, just on my own experience, I had applied to 3 doctoral programs. I applied for Boston University, I applied to Old Dominion University, and then my number 1 choice was actually Concordia University in Montreal. As many of you know, my parents live in Canada, and I was really looking forward to going back to Canada. Maybe I was foreseeing something that would happen in the United States. And I really wanted to get back to Canada after being in the United States for 5 years. But I had a phone interview for Concordia University and they didn't like me. I'm just kidding. I didn't pass their interview, so I didn't get accepted into that program. And I got accepted into Boston University and Old Dominion University. Boston University offered me a graduate assistantship that didn't have tuition cover, and living in Boston is like a gold mine. And then Old Dominion University offered me a tuition reimbursement that a graduate assistant that offered a tuition reimbursement. And I was like, well, just like Sonia said, I really just want an education, and that's a great program. So I'm just going to go there. So I think that thinking about what your ideal program may be and maybe not getting into it, if you do, that's awesome, but just make sure that ultimately your goal is to get an education and you feel good with the choices that you have. So before we move on, I want to ask if there are any questions. I've been kind of monitoring the chat, but I just want to open for any questions before we keep going. Any questions so far? No? Okay, everyone's. Oh, Sarah said, how's your dad doing, Dr. Hall? He's doing great. It's my uncle's birthday. My uncle lives in California, and my dad was calling to remind me to call him. And I was
Is
like,
that the uncle who could be my neighbor, or you who could have been my neighbor?
yes, they're my my aunt and uncle. They used to live out in Rancho Cucamonga. So yeah. I was like, Dad, I'm in class. I have to call you later. But I'm glad it's nothing bad. So, okay, so let's continue chatting. I have more questions. Oh, okay, so we have a question. What are the most important factors to consider when applying for a program, to the program? So um, anything, I know that Sonia mentioned, if you're an international student, consider policies. I've heard others talk about who the faculty member may be. If you could each sum it up to like one thing that was like the most important thing for you, Mao, what would you say?
So I think I have to agree with the other panelists. When you're selecting, if I was to select a doctoral program again, I'd definitely pay a lot of attention on the advisors and their research activities, because later on when you get stuck in your dissertation, when you need guidance and help, those people who have prior research experience, like particularly with in the field that you are interested in, you can move a lot faster, right? I'm kind of stuck in a program where most of my our faculty are K through 12. I'm kind of like the oddball there, and I'm kind of doing organizational learning, which is kind of like part management, part organizational culture. Which is not really. I mean, they know a little bit, but they can't. It's not enough for them to kind of really advise me. So I have to look for I guess people on my committee elsewhere, and that's because sometimes it's just not that it's difficult for you to get to them, get time from them, to sit down and really, think things through. So if you have like an advisor, what your research topic may be, it doesn't have to be very specific, but to like a general direction. And then you look at their research, the faculty's research activities, you see, I can see this person being my advisor, right? So I would say, I approach it, that would be my most important things to consider. The other things, I think they're more or less very similar, between the programs. So, cost, maybe other things, location, Boston is expensive. Those things are maybe important, but for me, advisors number one. And just I guess another question try to answer another question about transition from PhD to a corporate. I think that particularly with instructional design, I think there are a lot of jobs out there, in terms of like internal, for example, you can work with HR, right, to improve their training, professional development areas. You can work with any like large corporation, they all have internal training teams. So that can be very good, good place to work at. And also, I think, that you recommended Alejandra, who is working with us, and she found a job, actually found a full-time job with a consulting company that's doing contract consulting, contract work with U.S. government, like military branch. So, I mean, there are a lot of ways you can transition, and I think this field is really exciting at this moment.
We actually had Alejandra earlier this semester, so she's come to the class and talked to the students too. So, any other factors that I know that several costs is a major issue. The advisor thing, I cannot even start to stress to you how important that is. And just to put it in context, when you're in dissertation phase, is the equivalent of just taking independent study. So there's no course structures, there's no meeting. You have to like push things, and your faculty member doesn't get any like time off to do that. They're doing everything else that they're doing, and they are doing independent study with you, if that makes any sense. So it's really, it's a lot for both the student and the faculty member.
Nilda, if I may add, I think like one underrated factor while selecting the advisor is just their personality and how it matches with you. Because like when you're trying to judge based solely on what you see on Google Scholar, like there's no metric for niceness on Google Scholar. So those are things that you find out like from the insiders. And it's also hard to judge over a Zoom call, like if you're an international student or if you're not able to go and talk to them in person and judge for yourself. It's really important to talk to their previous students, especially, the people you meet at AECT are generally like honest. at AERA and ICLS, it's a little bit like holier than thou. Everyone is like, yeah, my advisor is the best. They're like so accomplished. So it's hard to find honest opinions. And it's really important because I have a really close friend who had a very like well-known, well-respected advisor in theory, but in person, it was really traumatic for her to work with that advisor. And she ended up like, she had to quit her program like just a month before her defense. And then she came to Penn State to restart the process. Like she did get a lot of credits transferred, but it's just so frustrating. You work so hard and right before the end. So that is really important. I just got lucky because I didn't like super duper think about it. I just got lucky that my advisor was a nice person as well, but just try to get an insider's view about their personality.
Yeah, I agree. I love your comment. There's no metric for niceness in Google Scholar. You can have somebody who's extremely accomplished and they may not be the easiest person to work with. So, and then sometimes people are just not compatible or they may just click immediately. So, yeah, it's in your advisor in your doctoral program, it's almost like a family member. So, yeah.
I just sorry, just want to take like quick 20 seconds to answer Anu's question about like balancing your job, like full-time job with the program. For me, it's an EDD program is actually designed for people who have jobs. So for example, our classes were focused on like they happen on before COVID, right? So it happened on weekends. So so we're going into to a class Saturday, Sunday, go there, stay there for 8 hours, and finish the class, and then go back to do our readings and study, right? Then once the classes are out of the way, it's really just up to you how you want to manage your time to finish, whether you want to take things slow or like fast or slow. I mean, even though people, the rest of the panelists, they're all mothers, right? So I mean, that's a full-time job. That's probably more than a full-time job. So I mean, it's having a full-time job and working, it's not unique. A lot of people are doing this in many different ways. So it's definitely doable.
Mhm. Thank you.
I think I want to add a little bit
Go
from
ahead,
those two
Pauline.
questions. Thank you. Like for me, like I really have to go back to my goals all the time. What is my goals? What is my goals? And I try to look at like the curriculum is also important. I need to make sure that it matches my goal. So whatever goals that I want to achieve, and their curriculum programs that they have over there, it should support me achieve my goals. So that's one of the things also. And I agree about the niceness also about your advisor, but I also do think that there is a way for you to influence their niceness in a way, because I know with my advisor, like she always said, I can't say no to you, Pauline, because you're always responsive. So when I see your email, Pauline, I tend to be responsive also. So it's like two-way things, and she keeps saying, okay, it has to be a mutual thing. And then regarding the full-time job, I've seen like several, like many of my peers in my program at ODU, they also have full-time jobs. One of them is a full-time senior instructional designer. And then there's also a dean, a dean for a community college who is with us in the program, in the ODU program. And then there's also like a director for like an aerospace, what was that, a flight training. Basically his company is creates trainings for flight industry, something like that. So like there's a lot of like varieties of working professionals out there taking our PhD program. So I think it's doable. I really don't know how to do it. It looks like it. They do a lot of reading at night and also over the weekend, because we don't have weekends classes like what Mao described about his program. Our programs are like most classes are like after 4 p.m. Eastern time. So whether it's 4 to 7 Eastern time PM or 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern time,
Mhm.
weekday.
Thank you, Pauline.
Just a practical thing really quick for you guys, since you're in a master's program that is instructional design and technology, if you're looking for a PhD or possibly an EDD, ask the program if they waive courses. because some programs will waive like introductory courses. Like I took intro to, all the intro courses got waived for me. So that I was able to take other things and move along a little bit faster. So just check on that when you're applying to programs.
That's a great point, Lauren. We actually, some of our core courses are kind of standard across instructional design programs, research and theory, inquiry and measurement, which is equivalent of like an intro research class, trends and issues in instructional design. I had the same, actually, we used even the same book for trends and issues in instructional design. So some of those are very transferable from a master's degree to a doctoral program. Anything, I know I saw you interacting, Sonia, in the chat. Anything else that you want to add via the mic or?
Yeah, it's just for international students, there are like ways to just frame your part-time interactions, like, off campus if you want to work. Like it could be framed as a internship, a fellowship. So even though if some jobs are advertised as a part-time job, it's possible to approach the organization and negotiate with them that would you be willing to offer it as an internship or as a fellowship, because then the international students become eligible. There's more paperwork, but I think like anyone who goes into PhD already has OCD, so paperwork is fine.
Thank you, Sonia. Great point. Okay, so I see you guys have been interacting in the chat, so I'm gonna move along. Let me share my screen again. So one of the things that our students, they're very much focused on being, like most of them are focused on being practitioners. So just like Anu was saying, transitioning from going to a doctoral degree to working in the corporate sector. So what are your courses like? Do they have a practitioner oriented focus, or do you design and develop things? Or are you constantly writing papers? What is the focus of your program, or is it a balance between the two of them? I'm going to start with Sonia, so we're going to do reverse order. I'll start with Sonia and then go back.
I think like in a traditional PhD program, if you want to get something more oriented towards practice, yeah, you kind of have to be a calculated rebel, like take risks, but just push it in a way that academics will understand. So for example, you can gear the final assignments of all the courses towards your practice. You might have to go through, some courses or some things that you may not directly see very beneficial in your practice, but it will eventually come together. Like you might make the connections later. So it's worth the patience to do some of the academic training, and then the calculated rebellion part is where you modify the outcomes of the course to align with what you need. So because I had a game design background, none of my courses are have the name game design in the title of the course. But I've been able to design like 3 or 4 games so far as part of different courses. Again, like the same 3-legged analogy. You just find a common ground and then do your own thing and do a little bit of the thing that the course requires.
Thank you, Sonia. I like that analogy. That's a very good one. Thank you. Okay, so Pauline, how about you? You had like 12 years of being a practitioner. What are your courses like? Do you get to do some of that practitioner stuff in the classroom, or no, very much research oriented?
Actually, I believe what ODU has in our program is quite a balance between the practical type of assignments and also doctoral writing level assignment. Because at ODU, we do have a mix of master student and PhD students. We're in the same class actually. So we do have like a project-based assignment, like with real setting. We have to find like a real subject matter expert, and then we get to interview people in doing the analysis and then create something for them. So that kind of practical based assignment. But at the end of semester, not the end semester, before the end of the semester, like all doctoral students will have to complete what we call doctoral level assignment. And that's where your writing, your research skills are needed. But the master student, they don't have to do the doctoral writing level. So it has a good balance between both practical and also the research focus assignments.
Thank you, Pauline. I actually forgot about that part. I do remember every time at the end of the semester, I was like, ugh, wish I was a master level student. Okay, thank you. Lauren, how about Florida State University? I'm guessing that now with the EDD things, it might be a little bit different. So what are your insights?
Yeah, so our the EDD classes are very practitioner focused. They are doing research, but the type of research that you would be doing in a practitioner context. In the PhD program, it's a really good mix. We do have core classes that we have to take. Some are very instructional design focused, where you actually are designing and developing things, and others are very research focused. But one great thing about our program is you can kind of tailor it to your research needs. So for example, I do a lot of internet research. I study social media and network learning. And so I've been able to take a lot of courses related to that. Whereas, some of my colleagues study AI and game-based learning. And so they've been able to take some courses related to that. And they also encourage courses outside of our program. So if it's kind of related to our research topic. So I've been able to take some like qualitative courses and some other topic focused courses outside of my program to kind of really help round out my degree.
Thank you. That's really nice that you get to take courses outside your program. Some programs are very, like you have to stay in your program, and some are very open to that. So that's a really nice balance. Mao, what about yourself? What are your courses like? And you
Yeah, so
seem to have an interesting mix with your interests.
No, so my program fits exactly like the one you described. You're kind of like walking to McDonald's. There's only Big Mac, right? So there's nothing else, right? So not everything is selected for you, right? With the exception of when you're planning for your dissertation, you can select whether you want to do a qualitative or quantitative, and depend on what you choose, you can take either advanced quant or advanced qual. Other courses are like being EDD program. They really target us for people who are going into becoming like principals, associate, assistant principals, VPs, directors, associate deans, those kind of like positions. So we take a very good mix of courses. Actually, I love those courses. I wish we had more courses. So we take courses like from like leadership, history of higher education, to like organizational culture. Actually, a few courses on organizational culture, a few courses on leadership, and qualitative research, quantitative research, and ethics, and also what's another course, policy courses, like, and budget, right? So all of these are really give you like a 360-degree view of like how like the inside, how the operation of either K through 12 or higher education. That depends. My cohort with heavily higher ed, so our courses were like the content was shaped around our experience, and then the cohort that came in after me, they had a lot of K through 12 people, so they changed their content to meet their need. So I think I enjoy the cross section part of my program.
And also quickly add that you don't have to rely completely on the courses that are available in your program. Like if you want to get ahead, in general, not in a competitive way that get ahead of your cohorts, but in general progress faster in your career, then also look for courses outside of the university, self-paced free courses. Often the university offers like a subscription to LinkedIn Learning, or lynda.com got acquired recently, but there's Coursera, Udemy, so many other several free or really affordable courses online that could help make up for courses that are not directly available in your program.
Great points. Thank you, everyone. Okay, so I think that one of the things that the students really struggle with is like, I'm already getting my master's degree. What is the benefit of really doing a PhD? Why put yourself through 2.5 additional years of coursework and or 2 years of, you know, knocking on the dissertation advisor door? Like I remember I would sometimes just like camp out outside my advisor's door and wait for her to get out of a meeting so I could just like sneak in there really quickly. Like, why put yourself through this? What is the drawback, and what are the benefits and what are the drawbacks? And since I start one side, the other, now let's start in the middle. I'm gonna go with Lauren first.
This is a tough question. So I think that in terms of, benefits, I mean, I love research and when you do research, you really have to love the problem you're going after and really kind of like owning it and trying to figure out like the best way to attack it. And so it's been really cool just learning from my advisor and also my colleagues and my other mentors. And I want to be a university faculty, and you really do need a PhD pretty much to do that in most places. So, I want to continue teaching at the university level and conducting research. Drawbacks, I mean, it's a lot of work and it's a big headache, and it's hard, and people who aren't in it don't understand it. So sometimes you try to talk to people who are outside of academia and they're like, oh, wait, you're just like in college, right? You go to parties and like you write papers and stuff. And it's so much more than that. It's your whole life. Like you have to be willing to let it consume your life.
Yeah, thank you, Lauren. I love that part that people around you don't understand what you're going through.
It's
Yeah.
kind of like a nerd cult, like only the people in it understand it.
Oh gosh. Pauline, what about you? Why are you doing this? Why?
Yeah, why? Actually, when I feel down or when I'm feeling like burned out, I do ask that question, why did I sign up for this, why? But and then I kept looking back at my goals, right, what I wanted to do, what I wanted to become when I grew up. So the benefit is that, yes. So actually that's the benefit. Actually it keeps pushing me to move forward, to keep the momentum, to keep moving. So I know that I want to be a faculty, tenure track faculty, similar to Lauren. So PhD is needed to be a faculty, especially in the tenure track position. And I know that I want to be in the higher ed setting. So let's say even if I'm ready to be in the job market, let's say if after I don't know how many years I can get the tenure track, at least I can still go back into the higher ed, to be an administrator, like for example, to be the director of Center for Teaching and Learning. And for that, the PhD that you have achieve, it's still needed and it's still useful and it's still helpful, because you're working in the higher ed, and then you interact with faculty, and then you do project, and then maybe you still want to do the evaluation of your project, and then when you do evaluation you can still get it published. When you publish it, help the university also to get known. The drawback is, that's correct, everything what Lauren said, yeah, headache, hard, and you need to persevere. really, really, like, you have to be persistent. And again, if you keep asking your question again, why did I do this, what am I doing, just keep going back to your goals. So I think I do have the drawbacks, but the benefit also keep the balance.
Thank you, Pauline. One thing I wanted to mention, this funny thing happened. You talk about like what I want to do when I grow up. When we were doing like the stay-at-home order, I think it was like June or something, and I would like Diego was at home, my son, and I was spending like half of the day working and then half of the day like taking care of it because we were taking turns. He like turned to me one day and he's like, "Mom, what do you want to be when you grow up?" And I'm like, "I'm already an adult." Like he didn't realize that I'm already an adult. I'm already doing things, but I thought it was really funny. So yeah, I think keeping an eye on your goal is really, really important. Okay, so uh, Mao, what about yourself? What are the benefits and drawback? Why are you doing this?
That's $1 million question, right? So I have a tendency of like doing things first and ask questions later, which does not also, I guess for some people it may work. For me, it kind of, when you get stuck into like, asking yourself like, is that the topic I want to research on? You kind of second guess yourself, particularly when you can't get enough help that you need from your advisors. That really kind of puts you in a lot of doubt. Like when things are other priorities in life happens, that can really kind of like slow you down. So if you're, someone at the beginning, before we even started, someone said, sometime it may be helpful for you to, work a few years, right? Until you have like that burning question that you really want to answer, or, that can, answering that question kind of like advance your career to some extent, right? I think maybe sometime it may be a good idea to wait a little bit until you feel like, at the point you feel like that's worth doing. I'm gonna like spend time doing it. In terms of benefit and drawbacks, I can only see benefits, to be honest. Maybe because I'm a little bit too optimistic. But for me, going through a doctoral program, I think sound maybe a little lofty to say, but to me, it's a different way of thinking, right? I improve my learning skill, reading skill, and improve my writing skills, and just kind of give me that holistic, view the environment I'm working in. I get a lot of insights I don't normally can have just in my day-to-day working, and I learn so much from my classmates. Right, they all come in with significant amount of experience. All the classes, most of the classes are seminar style, which really I cannot. Usually it's like class if it's happen on Friday night, it's from 4 to 8. Right, I didn't want to leave by the end of finished classes. Saturday all day, Sunday all day, not a problem, right? So I love attending these classes just because, just for the conversation we're having. Of course, once we finish classes, everyone hates each other. We're competing. Hey, you haven't done anything yet? Hey, sucks for you, right? But then the whole class part, I loved it. So I can only see, I'm biased. I can only see benefit. I don't really see a lot of drawbacks. Just kind of when you're making that decisions, kind of plan, like see where you are in your life. Family and definitely having kids, getting married, those really kind of affect your progress.
Thank you, Mao. And I think that if you really like learning and having like conversations about whatever topic you're very passionate about, like for example, instructional design, you're gonna enjoy it. This is going to be, I like being, like, I felt like I was a professional student. All my friends were already moving on with their life and I was still in school, but it's okay because I loved it. I don't regret it at all. There's a lot of sacrifices that come with it, but to me, they were all worth it. And I do want to stress out what Pauline mentioned. I know that some of our students are thinking about going the corporate route, so being working in the corporate setting, and some of you are thinking about working in higher education. And that is one thing that I do want to stress is that if you are an instructional designer in higher education, to move up the ladder to that director role in the Center for Teaching and Learning, it is very much written in the job description that you have to have a PhD. And had situations where students, I've mentioned this to some of our alumni, and I said, you really want to, if that's what you want to do, you have to do that. And then the position became available. They didn't have a PhD and they were really frustrated that they didn't get the position. So again, if you're in higher education and you want to move up the ladder to be that director role, you do have to have that PhD. So, I leave Sonia to share her benefits and drawbacks. Why is she doing this? So Sonia, please.
I think like there are two benefits. One, I think just described that sometimes it's just described in the the description of the job itself, that it's a metric for promotion. And the second benefit is access to opportunities. You're being able to grow your network. So, for example, I always wanted to pitch my own show to one of the animated networks. And I tried that after my MFA. I even attended a lot of those, we'll help you sell your pitch to the big network guy kind of, scam kind of 1 week webinars. And I did, like, I wasted a lot of money there. But like in LA, like every other person has an idea for a show. Like everyone who's sitting at a cafe has a script in their pocket. So there was no real way to like make valid connections at that time. And I did not succeed. And one time I got really close and I did have a pitch ready for Nickelodeon for an educational show. And I got a very fair feedback that your ideas about learning seem very superficial. Like you have a story that's like highly disconnected with the ideas of learning. So either like you hire someone who is more knowledgeable about the learning part, or you try to understand it yourself before you write this stuff up and try to pitch it to us. I just wanted to be that person. I could have like just had that kind of partnership, but it's like you save time if both aspects are in your own mind. The collaboration happens faster. So, and I just touch wood, what a perfect timing. I had a pitch with PBS Kids today. I was able to pitch them a new show and I think it went well. I'll find out this year. But then now that I say that, my dissertation uses PBS Kids Media, I understand learning from both sides, from the industry side and the learning side, then it gives me more credibility. Not all producers have a PhD. Some of them are like just high school graduates. So it's not like a required thing, but the doors that PhD has opened for me, meeting people at conferences, or even if I go back to LA and sit in that cafe with a script in my pocket, at least I also have some credentials with it that I know my stuff. And I have like a 5-year degree to kind of prove it, which is sad. Like you don't need a degree to prove it, but sometimes it makes a difference. Like when people are short on time, they have like 30 seconds to hear you. And you say that, I'm just like a mom and I made a game in 2002 and now I have a game idea. Versus you say that, hey, I have a PhD in this stuff and I have a show idea. You just get heard in a better way.
Yeah, just want to add very quickly. I totally agree with Sonia's point. I think credibility is very important, particularly when you're working hard at, you're working with faculty. Having that badge, right? It's kind of like, okay, you have gone through something, they have gone through as well, so you can learn a lot more respect. So me comparing like 2 years ago when I started my doctoral journey, I felt like in the past I was like, I was wrong and then I didn't know about it. But now I can be confidently go wrong, so that's, I can say, so that's a big difference.
Thank you, Mao. And I hope it goes well, Sonia. I'm sure you're such a creative, talented person. And I just, go ahead, sorry.
I just think thank you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm sure we're all here listening to Sonia, and one day we'll be like, oh, I knew her before she did this awesome thing. Every time I see her work, that's what I think. One day I'll be like, oh, she wrote a chapter, I know her, but now she probably doesn't even remember me. And one thing I want to say, and this is especially for students who come from a minority background, I have to say it goes a long ways when you're a minority, especially if you're a woman. I do agree, people listen to you differently um, when you have a degree. Um, so although I still get confused by like in the cafeteria by the undergraduate student, the cafeteria lady doesn't really care. Well, before COVID, but you know. Anyway, so let me, before we go to the words of wisdoms, any advice or any questions from the students? I know that some of you are like, do I really need to do a doctoral degree? But I just wonder, any questions? Anything, anything, anything.
I have a good news, hopefully. So for those of you who are not sure about going directly into a doctoral program, we're hiring. We're hiring pretty much immediately.
Wonderful. And Alejandra, who joined us earlier this semester, actually worked with Mao for quite a while. So
Right. She's
what,
still working with
how,
us. The
oh yeah,
limited capacity. She's working because she has a full time now, so she's working with her. I mean, she worked with us full time for maybe about like a month. Then she got her full time job. So since then, she's been working with us part time.
okay. How many people
We're
are you
also very
hiring?
flexible. 2 more positions. Basically, we lost 2. We need to fill those positions.
Okay, so I know quite a few people who are looking, pointing at you. Fly, fly, fly. I have really good students. Like I'll vouch for any of them. Indy is pretty awesome, and I know she's looking. Ano's
And Olga is still
graduating.
also working with us. She's also
What?
Olga.
Olga's
Costello.
still,
Yeah.
Olga's my fellow Panamanian instructional designer. And Anu introduced me to Olga. Anu, you remember you introduced me to, last year at AACT, she introduced me to Olga. So go ahead, Sonia.
No, I was just going to say I forgot to mention one downside. There is an opportunity cost involved. If you are with a partner and your partner is working full time, that gives you some kind of backup. But if you have more financial responsibility, there is an opportunity cost, meaning as an international student, if you are working part time, and even if you get a stipend, that is going to be very, very minimal compared to if you were having a full-time job in the industry. And 5 years is a lot. Like in 5 years, you can accumulate enough wealth to, buy a home, get a pet, other like have vacations. So that's the practical aspect. Like if you're a citizen, you can work, study part-time, keep your full-time job, but that may not be an option for everyone.
Yes, thank you for mentioning that, Sonia. It's you just start your life a little bit later on. Or you may start your life, well, yeah, for international students, you do have to wait. You do. So, okay. I just want to also put in a word for Monique. She's graduating in the fall, and this is a remote position. She's really good too. Anyways, and others, Phoebe, Amani, I know they're graduating this fall. So can you send that job description so I can forward it? Networking.
So, well, please, I have to talk here. You're so fast. You don't take chances. That's good.
Scarlett's looking too. She just put the thumbs up. Anyways, you got like 10 people here and you got 2 positions. You have options.
You guys are on the Schindler's List. Like she's going to save you all.
Okay. So we're gonna go into our last questions, 9:20 Eastern Standard Time. So I know it's getting late. So last question is just words of wisdom. This is like it would be a completely different experience for the students who are doing a master level. So what are some words of wisdoms? Someone who is starting a doctoral degree or thinking about starting a doctoral degree, what are something that you wish somebody would have told you before you started this? I'll give you a minute to think. Mao looks like he already knows what he's gonna say.
Yeah, I do. Words, right? So I think Sonia has touched on this already. So when you're in there, just be prepared for the long haul, right? Over the course of X number of years, a lot of things may happen, right? So it's like it's guaranteed, right? So we never imagined COVID to happen, right? It happened. So just kind of plan for it. Just think about like when things are not going your way, there will be frustration, there will be sacrifices, or you have to make some changes in your life to adjust your lifestyle, make some, make it to be able to pull through. But once you pull through, I mean, even though I haven't, but I know that it will be a very rewarding experience. And then listen to your advisors. I think that's really important. When I started the program, my advisor told me, hey, you know what? We're not, we're standing on the shoulders of the giants, right? Don't think, you're going to change the whole world. Just, narrow down your research. I listened, I didn't, right? So I still went out, like try to change the world. Didn't happen to me, I'm kind of just going back and forth, still now at the end, 4 years, 5 years, I feel like, yes, I have to listen to my advisors.
Thank you, Mao. Lauren?
Yeah, so I agree with everything Mao said. Also, going into this, have a strong support system, whether that be, your family, your spouse, your partner, your colleagues. It's hard. And sometimes I think mental health is something that's not fully addressed in higher education, and it should be. So, find someone to talk to if that's just, someone in life, or if you need to go to see a therapist or something. I think a lot of people get really beaten down by this life and this process. It's a lot of rejection. For anyone who has submitted journal articles and conference presentations, we know that a lot of times you hear no, so you got to develop a thick skin. So just have a really good support system and know how to take care of yourself and be kind to yourself.
Those are, yeah, very, very good words. Thank you, Lauren. How about Pauline?
Well said, Lauren. So I think I'm just gonna add a little bit more to what Lauren said. Uh, to begin with, I'm I don't have a good self confidence just to begin with. It's just me. So I think what I would say is that just know what your goal is, what you want to achieve, and believe in yourself and be confident in achieving your goals. And then if something happened, whether it's a hurdles or roadblocks, I think just be persistent, and then use all of your resources, like in your support system, and then ask those people to give you encouraging words and then motivation. And then there were a lot of time when I was feeling down, I posted something, and then I asked for encouraging words from the people in my networks, and then that helps me put me back into a good self-confidence mode again.
Thank you, Pauline. And you are all so accomplished. Honestly, you're doing way more than what I did when I was in my doctoral program. Yeah, you are all so accomplished. Sonia, what about yourself? What words of wisdom do you have?
If anyone knows me, like I'm a fan of 30 Rock. So my words of wisdom are from the show. If anyone has seen it, there's a character called Pete Hornberger, and he always says that rise to your incompetence. If you actually look for the Peter principle, I'll share it in the chat. It says that, don't rush to the next thing just because you have to. Like, being ambitious is one thing, but then constantly trying to one up yourself is not necessarily beneficial. For example, if you are enjoying your role as an instructional designer, you don't have to push yourself to be the instructional design manager. If you are an instructional design manager, you don't have to push yourself to be like the CEO or the head of the department. So, maybe stay there a little, see if you're enjoying things the way they are. And you can save your competence for things that really matter. You don't have to competence is like your currency. You can't just keep spending it for just to like get more awards, get the next promotion. So I mean, in the show, it was shown in a very comedic way that Pete is a producer and he doesn't want to go beyond that. He's a bald-headed middle-aged man, and he says, oh, I'm completely happy with my incompetence, I don't want a promotion. But that strategy could actually work. Like, I know it sounds like anti-ambition, like we're, Dr. Hall is talking about like ambition and growth and power. And I'm like, no, slow down, go back. But sometimes to keep, like what Lauren was saying, to be kind to yourself and to take care of your mental health, sometimes it's important to stay where you are.
Mm. That's a very good, I love that. And it's really interesting because I feel that like my husband, he's very much like that, and we just match each other very well in that sense, because he's here to support, and he's just perfectly happy doing whatever he's doing, so yeah, I think that there's room for everybody in this world, and however you are, that's just wonderful. You just have to embrace it. So those are all wonderful words of wisdom. Let me stop sharing here. Yeah, so thank you all so much for being here today. I want to open the floor again one more time for questions that you may have. Again, you have a panel of individuals here who are doing their doctoral degree. Some, actually, all of you are already in the dissertation stage. Is that correct? So they have gone through the coursework, done comprehensive exams. It looks like Mao was the only one that didn't do comprehensive exams. Somehow magically got there. So any questions, any last questions that you may have? Okay, seems like everybody is.
Everyone is still wondering why. Why though? Why are they doing what they're doing?
Oh, I don't necessarily have a question, probably a comment. I just wanted to kind of like encourage my peers that it's so difficult to have enough of this set of people. But I assure you, if you're part of AECT, specifically the GSA, Graduate Student Assembly, now I'm marketing my group. We'll see Pauline is the current president. Sonia, I know Sonia has a role. I forgot the role.
The board representative.
Board representative. But these are some of people. I don't want to be an ESCO, but I would shadow, like working to assist and support and learn, definitely. And Kay is another person. So these are faces you want to see all of this set of people. If you join AECT, it might be too large, but GSA AECT would serve you for any of this. When you write something, you're not sure of your writing, literally come and dump it in their email, and then, just bother them, stalk them if you can. I just know you get responses. So that's it.
Thank you, Anu. And yeah, it's a really, it's a nice group of people. And Pauline, yeah, are you officially the president right now, or are you officially the president right now?
Like Kamala Harris and Pauline ruling the world right now.
Oh. Pauline 2020. I love this. Oh, we can't hear you. Or am I the only one?
Oh yeah, because I was on mute and I was screaming and being excited. Oh, too bad. I was gonna say, I will make sure, and Sonia can help me make sure that if you're new to GSA and you would like to come and attend and join us, I'll make sure that you are welcome as a family, as a GSA family member.
Yay. Thank you, Pauline. Okay, so I'm gonna leave this here. There's many others who are gonna listen to the recording. I'll be posting the recording later this week. I have to make sure that we get closed captions on it before I put it on YouTube, and then I'll be sharing it through the different social media. I want to thank each and every one of our panelists for taking the time to join us today. I know you have other responsibilities and things that you have to take care of, so I appreciate you taking the time to converse with us. And thank you for being honest, truthful, and just sharing your experiences and answering our questions. So thank you very much. I'm gonna stop the recording now.